Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. All right, we're almost done with front loading for the week. Remember when I have traditional weekends, I try to get it all done in the same day so I can have some time to veg. I'm really going to need it too because October Way Day on Monday, please kill me. It can any of you all like put a bullet in me like right before I have to go on phones on that day because I think I'd rather deal with a freaking gun wound when sorry. Sorry. All right, folks. First the disclaimers. We're going to try to keep these videos short and sweet, mainly because I can only deal with so much stupid, including the DC Circuit Court being lazy and basically copy pasting all the arguments the JRC has used over the years to justify their stupidity. Folks, if you're unfamiliar with the Stock to Shocks campaign and the campaign against the troubled teen industry, you're going to find all the pertinent links up there in the description box. In particular, I want you to note the article in there written by NeuroClastic, a small non for profit started by autistics for autistics, wherein they interviewed and surveyed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC so called behavior modification program. The Judge Rotenberg Educational Center felt so triggered by this particular article that they have threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. Well, folks, NeuroClastic has refused, so you know the drill. Please read that article and share it on all your social media. Also included, of course, LinkedIn, NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding in case the JRC actually sees through with their threat. First trigger warning in regards to this channel. When we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center and Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please use your headphones. Second trigger warning, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity on occasion and speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, parental supervision is advised. All right, back to the idiocy that is also known as the DC Circuit's decision to overturn the FDA ban on the GED device, where they're continuously refusing to acknowledge the fact that the current iteration of the GED device has been approved by no one. Ordinarily, we evaluate an agency's interpretation of a statute it administers under the Chevron USA Incorporated versus Natural Resources Divorce Council Incorporated. Under the framework, we first consider whether Congress has directly spoken to the precise question at issue. If so, the court, as well as the agency, must give effect to the ambiguously expressed intent of Congress. Jesus Christ. And folks, their question at issue is a false question because it's operating off of this false idea that the GED's being used somewhere else out there besides the JRC to help smokers quit smoking. When your question is based on a fallacy, the answer that the court is then going to use to answer that question is going to be a lie. Just in case you need that explained to you. If Congress has not spoken clearly, we defer to an agency's interpretation if it's based on a permissible construction of the statute. In this case, the FDA did not invoke the Chevron deference or even cite the case in its briefing. Oh, Jesus Christ. So we're going to allow kids to continue to be tortured at just below the lethal limit because the FDA did not mention throughout the entirety of its brief this one case. Jesus. Perhaps this is because the agency concluded that the relevant statutes are unambiguous. We agree that the statutes are unambiguous. Jesus. although this does not mandate the FDA's conclusion that the statute authorizes it to take this action. Jesus Christ. Statutory analysis. We begin our analysis of the scope of the FDA's banning authority with Section 360F, the statute that authorizes banning in the first instance. The statute states that the FDA may make such device a banned device, and the natural reading of that language suggests a device is either banned or it's not. Oh, here the hell we go again. They are saying basically what they're implying here is that this particular device, the GED, is being used for other uses outside of the JRC. This is a lie. The device that is being used outside of the JRC is known as the SIBIS, a device that the JRC first started using when they ventured into this psychotic form of treatment. Okay? What they're not telling you is that the SIBIS that they are referencing in regards to this argument and the GET device that is actually the device in question here are not the same device. The differences in the devices has to do in regards to the pain levels that they admit when being used on the skin to shock someone. The SIBIS usually operates within a 1 to 3 mph. The current GED device operates at 85. The current GED device not only is exclusively used in only one place for one sole purpose for which it was designed, it is also not gone under any form of regulation, nor has it been approved by any governing body of any kind, including the FDA. Something that was brought up multiple times throughout the FDA hearings and all the articles and court documents we've gone through on this channel multiple times. Does anyone else notice that they do not see the DC Circuit Court referencing that fact, but instead are trying to make us believe that the SIBIS and the GED device are the same thing? And also that they are trying to allude that the GED device was previously FDA approved. Because that's what they're doing here, folks. They're lumping these devices together and wording it in such a way that you and I don't question it. But there's a problem here. When you have folks who have been involved with this case since pretty much the entirety of my adult life, you know that the current GED device as is has never been approved for any use of any kind by the FDA or any other governing entity out there. That the FDA has reached out on multiple occasions so that the device could be properly tested in order to be approved for use. The JRC has continued to not comply. But nobody wants to talk about that in the DC Circuit Court. They would rather you lump the SIBIS and the GED together and suggest that it's the same device, and that the only difference is that what the SBIS is being used for. But that's not the case. That is the lie. And you can't unsee it once it's there, folks. It speaks of no authority to place a device in an intermediate state of banned in some uses. But the statute also requires the FDA to determine whether the risks of the device presents are reasonable, presumably in the light of the benefits that the device provides to the individuals that use it. All right, we got to move because otherwise my computer's going to turn off and I don't want to redo this video. So hold on. While we're moving, I'm going to go ahead and speak to this. There's a big problem here. The elephant in the room that I keep mentioning over and over again. And that is the fact here that the GED does not have multiple uses, nor has any other use ever been mentioned in any form of argument in order for the device to not be banned. This is why this argument fails. Because the device in question, the SIBIS, is not the same thing as the GED. The GED device is only being used for a singular purpose. To try and say that you must ban it for all uses when it's only being used for one thing makes no coherent logical sense as an argument to overturn the ban. Let's play devil's advocate here. Let's say we're in a parallel universe where the current GED device had dotted all its I's and crossed all its T's, and it's been approved by the FDA. That is not the case. That is a lie, but we're in alternative reality now, all right? Alternative reality is just as cranky as regular reality, Tiffany. We're in an alternate reality now, okay? Let's just use this as a scenario here. Even if it were approved, like they are trying to hope that you believe, it is still a device only being used in one place for one purpose. It is not being marketed out to the larger market or medical circles. So how does this apply? It doesn't. Okay? If you only create a device for one purpose to be used in one place, and it's only being used in that one place for that one purpose, to make the argument that you must ban it for all other uses make no coherent sense because it's not being prescribed as a device anywhere outside of the JRC to be used for any other purpose. Okay? So even if it were FDA approved, it's not. But remember, we're in alternative reality here. It's still a bad argument because that particular device is not being marketed and is not available to the wider public. It's being used in one place for one purpose. So to sit there with your full chest and sit there and declare that the FDA ban was overturned because it's not being banned for all its uses makes no coherent sense. Of anybody with two brain cells to rub together. All right? All right, DC? I'm glad we had this talk. However, Section 396 expressly denies the FDA authority to construe any part of the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, including its authority to ban devices under 360F, to permit the FDA to limit or interfere with practitioners' authority to prescribe or administer legally marketed devices to patients. That's key right here. Okay, DC Circuit Court of Appeals, I want you to hear me on this. The GED device is not a legal marketed device. Let me say that again. The GED, in its current iteration, is not a legally marketed device. The FDA has given no approval for its use in any way, shape, or form. Which means, boys and girls, that device is being used illegally. Okay? We good? We understand this? Good. Jesus. The questions for this then are whether a ban limits or interferes, or whether a device that the FDA has attempted to ban for a particular use is legally marketed. Is it? If you have a medical device that has gone under zero scrutiny, zero testing, has not been regulated or approved by the FDA in any way, shape, or form, please explain to me, like I'm 5, why that device that's gone through no approval process is supposed to be considered a legally marketed device. Okay? Explain it to me like I'm 5. All right? Because it's not a legal device. It's gone under no scrutiny by any agency whatsoever. We have the JRC's Trust Me Bruh defense, okay? Trust me, bruh, it's safe. That's what we're operating off of. If that's all doctor offices have to do from now on in order to legally get away with whatever atrocity they feel like, count me out. Okay? Because essentially what you're saying here is that it is the doctor, not the regulators, those who approve or disapprove of medical devices, but the sole doctor that determines whether a particular device is legal or not. That's a real slippery slope, folks. You could use the same argument that the angels of death at Auschwitz could be argued that they did nothing wrong because they determined what they were doing was legal. Do you want to get on this argument, DC? Are you really sure you want to have this argument? Okay? Because you don't. There are reasons why laws exist that regulate doctors. There's a reason why there is a precedent for medical malpractice cases. It's because doctors are not infallible. But the DC Circuit Court seems to want to give doctors almost this godlike authority that nobody is allowed to question. If you don't see the major issues here, I don't know what to tell you. We're going to close on that, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time. And as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. I'll see y'all next time.